Hi guys, Hamster here. Well, I just got back from the range, so you can tell I've been having a good day. Out doing quite a bit of shooting and testing some stuff, and I started to notice a change in my weapon. I noticed whenever I would put a magazine with 30 rounds in it, it would tend to have trouble stripping off that first round and going in the battery. And it's always worked fine with 28 rounds in the gun, in the magazine, which I typically like to download them to for reliability. But this time it seemed like it was having a little more trouble than I thought it should. So I decided when I get home, I'd pull the buffer spring out and I would check it. Now this buffer spring is original to the rifle. The rifle is quite a few years old. Doesn't have a tremendous amount of rounds put through it, but it does have some age due to time and sitting in the stock being compressed. And I happen to have a brand new buffer spring sitting around. They're relatively inexpensive, a good item to have. I know a lot of guys think some things never wear out, but I believe everything has a lifespan and everything has a certain time and it needs to be replaced. So what we have here is the buffer spring that I just took out of the rifle, and what I have here is a brand new buffer spring that I just took out of the package. And the old buffer spring is a good 3/8 of an inch shorter than a brand new buffer spring. While that on itself might not look like a lot, I decided to test a few things and determine if that spring has been losing energy. So what I did, I installed the new buffer spring into the stock. I'll show you right here what I did. Put the new buffer spring in, put the old buffer back in. Okay. And then I'd have a gauge here, which I use for work for measuring foot-pounds of energy. So it shows me pounds, and this is marked off in pounds. And I did a couple simple tests. I did a full compression, I did a partial compression. Now a spring is not going to have the same amount of energy through its whole travel. A spring is always going to have more energy when it's fully compressed, and as the spring goes closer to its free length, it's going to lose energy. So I checked it at full compression, and I checked it at 1 inch, that last little bit that you really need to help get your weapon in the battery. And I just simply took my gauge, pushed it in the exact same amount that it did on the old spring, and then I checked my measurement, and I'm getting about 8 pounds of pressure on that last maybe 1 inch of travel on the spring, and that is about a pound to pound and a half more than the old spring. I was shocked that it was that much. Now on normal compression of the spring, I did a test to see how much, on a normal travel the bolt, what the tension on the spring would be. And normal travel, it runs around, I'm measuring around 10 pounds of pressure. So I'm losing a pound to pound and a half in that last inch of travel. That's almost 10% of that spring's capability has been degraded or lost over time. So I recommend you guys have spare parts, and even simple items as a buffer spring, which to the naked eye will look perfectly good. You can't tell that it's shrinking and losing energy over time, but it could cause a malfunction, and it will make it less apt for that to, especially if your weapon starts to get dirty and you need that last bit of energy. You may find yourself using the forward assist because then blaming the ammunition or blaming lubrication or cleaning. It could be the fact that your spring is deteriorating with age. Something you guys need to look at. So I was pretty shocked to see that the spring had shrunk 3/8 of an inch and had lost a pound and a half of tension. And that, like I said, that last 1 inch, as it's bringing that bolt up, and it's 1 pound and a half less energy. Well, that's less effort that it's going to have to strip that round off that magazine and go in the battery. So a simple item like this, these are easily under $10. Anything like this that wears, we replace the springs on our pistols all the time, on our recoil springs and guide rods after so many rounds. We know they degrade, but I don't think many people pay attention to the buffer spring. And it degrades the same as the recoil spring on your pistol. It does the exact same thing. It absorbs the recoil of the bolt and it drives the bolt back in the battery. Exact same thing as the pistol. So if you're changing your pistol springs every 3,000 to 5,000 rounds, maybe take a look at your buffer spring. It might prevent some problems in the future. So just something I've noticed. Thanks for watching.